Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with some Izzet Phoenix in Modern. I had a recent request on an old video to go back and update Izzet Phoenix. And it's been one of those projects that I've been kind of working on here and there when I can. Something I've kind of put on the back burner for a while. And a couple of new cards have been printed since the last time out. The main one being Ox of Agonis or whatever, I can't pronounce this card. Basically, on the back end could be an improved version of Faithless Looting, which obviously this deck lost, and then obviously you're playing a couple copies of Merchant of the Veil, which we have played in some versions before. It was fine for what you're trying to do. It's basically haggle, discard a card, draw a card, which allows you to pitch your Izzet Phoenixes or extra lands, or any of that kind of nonsense going on. Beyond that, for those of you that weren't around during this deck's heyday in Modern, the namesake card is Izzet Phoenix. You play 3 spells, get this card back from the graveyard. It's still technically standard legal, although it very rarely sees play. And then beyond that, you have Thing in the Ice was kind of the other stalwart card in the main deck. These were kind of the two primary win conditions of the deck. Thing in the Ice is very good against creature-based decks, whereas Izzet Phoenix is good against grindy decks, so it kind of gave you a 1-2 combination that in most matchups you'd be pretty good at whatever you were playing. You either had a grindy element that could, be a nut draw of a couple Izzet Phoenixes on turn 2, put your opponent on like a dead on turn 4 clock, and then you had Thing in the Ice to help control the creature decks, things like Burn, things like Humans, etc. It made for an impressive 1-2 combination, and then you usually used either Pyromancer's Ascension or Aria of Flame as your secondary win con, tertiary win condition to that end. But with Faithless Looting gone, it really kind of killed the deck. The deck was already, I think, on a downward trajectory because of what was going on in the meta. I don't remember exactly what happened at that point in time because that was been 6-8 months ago or so since Faithless Looting's been banned, but the deck was already on a downward trajectory, and then Faithless Looting being lost kind of KO'd it for the time being. There's been some attempts to revive it here and there, and it has moderate success here and there. It's kind of a fringe player in Modern. Beyond that, you're using a bunch of cantrips to facilitate your Thing in the Ice and Izzet Phoenix. In this particular version, the tertiary threat we're using is Crackling Drake. Crackling Drake obviously comes down at the earliest turn 4, but oftentimes this is one of those threats that it's basically suspend 1, win the game, if your opponent can't deal with it. And there are quite a few removal spells that can kill it. A Revolted Fatal Push can kill it, Assassin's Trophy, etc. can kill it. But they have to have the answer pretty much right away, because even if you exile the graveyard, which is a big concern for this deck, especially in post-board games, this card counts instants and sorceries both in exile and in the graveyard. Beyond that, you're using things like Izzet Charm as kind of a pseudo Faithless Looting. This deck, last time we played this deck, Izzet Charm was often used as a deal 2 damage to kill a creature. It's often been used as a Spell Pierce mode, so it can't always be relied upon to be the only discard outlet, hence why you're also running Lightning Axe, Merchant of the Veil, and Ox of Agonis. Beyond that, you have 4 copies of Lightning Bolt, 2 copies of Lightning Axe, a couple copies of Lava Darts. So, another decision that was frequently up for debate in these decks was, what free spells are you playing in your slot? Oftentimes it came down to like Gut Shot, Surgical Extraction, and Force of Negation in later iterations of the deck, depending on whether you were facing a graveyard heavy meta, whether you were facing a small creature heavy meta, or if you were facing a more controlling mid-range version, needed to protect your threats a little bit better. This right now, with Lurrus being the big bad of the format, I think Lava Dart is pretty good against especially a lot of the mana dorks that have been popping up, whether it be the Devoted Druid decks, whether it be the Obosh Gruul decks needing to rely on their one-drop mana accelerators. I think it's nice to have Lava Dart in the current format. It also facilitates a more aggressive flipping of your Thing in the Ice and Izzet Phoenix. Bringing back Izzet Phoenix. So that's pretty much the main deck. You're a straight blue-red deck. Not too fancy with the main deck. 4 Spire Bluff Canal, 3 Steam Vents, and 2 Mountains. Frequently Mountain was very bad, if I remember correctly. But with the number of red spells you're playing, especially being able to needing to flash back Ox of Agnes, you really will need to be heavy on the red. And there's a stink bug in my room that's been driving me nuts. So if I seem to be turning around looking at things, that's what I keep hearing, that stupid thing going. And here, on the sideboard. Sideboard, 2 copies of Ether Gust. This card was at its peak in the format when Amulet Titan was kind of powering through things before Once Upon a Time was banned, but still is pretty good against the red decks. Also can be a pseudo-answer to Tarmogoyf, which can be a problem for the particular construction of this deck, as we're not packing anything beyond Lightning Axe to deal with big creatures, so we're not packing Dismembers or some of the other spells that would frequently be used. This is kind of another pseudo-answer to Tarmogoyf. 2 copies of Force of Negation. Sometimes you just need to protect your big threat, whether that's Crackling Drake, whether that's Thing in the Ice, whether that's Aria of Flame in the post-board games. Sometimes it's nice just to be able to tap low to get your threat base rolling and still hold up a Force of Negation to answer your opponent's big threat, like if they're on Tron or whatever. 2 copies of Mystical Disputes. This is kind of the additional counter magic I'm going with, because oftentimes you want to bring in counter magic against blue decks, and sometimes a bad mana leak can still be reasonable in spots. 2 copies of Abrade. This is a split card. You can bring this in against aggressive decks. You can also bring this in against anything that you fear Chalice of the Void out of, which can be problematic with all your 1 mana spells. 1 copy of Anger of the Gods for, once again, the Lurrus decks kind of running around in the format. 2 copies of Blood Moon. Blood Moon's obviously not at its best right now, but sometimes you just need a punk out card. And Blood Moon's one of those cards that can certainly punk out certain decks. Aria of Flame, this is the card that you bring in to sidestep Graveyard Hate, so you'll probably see me bringing out, or maybe trimming some numbers of Oxes, Archetype Phoenixes, or whatever, if I feel my opponent's going to be on a very heavy anti-graveyard plan, or it can be pretty good to sidestep if your opponent's going to be on a ton of anti-creature stuff like Fatal Pushes and stuff. You can discard me or side out some of your Things in the Ices and bring in Aria of Flames, because if they don't have something like Abrupt Decay or Maelstrom Pulse or Assassin's Trophy, this card can often go the distance and very quickly. Usually this card, like Crackling Drake, is usually suspend 1 win the game. Aria of Flame frequently has been suspend 2 win the game. And then the final card, 2 copies of Ashiok Dreamweaver. This card serves a couple of roles, not all of them well. It serves the anti-graveyard against Lurrus thing a little bit, but you'll probably more find this bringing in against big mana decks that are searching their library a lot, and conceivably be an alternate win con against decks that are going to be really, really, really high Barrier Angel. Well, unfortunately, there aren't many good looting effects right now, so no, there is no companion in this particular build. I'm just trying basically to see if the deck's even remotely playable right now. I think the big thing, and there aren't too many companions you could play, I think Gigantha is the only one. And Gigantha would require no Crackling Drakes, no Ox. So I don't know that Archetype Phoenix is an archetype that could play any of the particular companions that are currently available. So I think that covers the deck. Let's get rolling in a league, because this could be a grindy one. Or we could just get decimated by 3 burn decks. So a couple of the weaknesses of the deck that were pushing it out a little bit was the fact that the deck could be vulnerable to decks like Burn. It's a little better set up against Prowess. You certainly could, but Arclight wasn't an aggressive tempo deck. Arclight was a Thing in the Ice deck first that happened to be a decent home for Arclight Phoenix. So if we wanted to push the deck in another direction, or if we wanted what's up, War Dog? Or if we wanted to push the deck in a way that their anti-graveyard hate is more aggressive. We could certainly look at Fairy Dragon, but the problem becomes is you're more of a mid-range deck that's trying to punk people out with Izzet Phoenix than you are a tempo deck like Death Shadow or Delver. So I think when you're working on an archetype, you want an archetype that is the best at what it does. And Izzet Phoenix was a deck that could attack on multiple angles, that had just enough disruption to stop a lot of the decks in the format. It was vulnerable to decks that could go over the top of it or decks that could ignore what it was doing. So you were weak to Tron, you were weak to Burn, you were weak to the grindy decks in the post-board games if they came prepared. So I'm not sure Sprite Dragon fixes that problem. It might make the deck faster, but I don't know that it would fix the problems that the deck has had since the banning of Faithless Looting. It obviously has a companion here, and we're up against Urion. This hand is sketchy, but I still think we keep it. Fetch for Steam Vents, most likely. Looking for lands and other threats. Well, there's a second land. I think I'm inclined to keep one, not both, because this deck tends to see a lot of cards. So I'm not as worried about seeing one or two lands. Opponent might be putting us on Storm right now, which is funny because previously when you'd see Fetch Land Serum Visions, you'd automatically think Phoenix when Phoenix was big. But now you're probably thinking Storm at this point. But I suspect this Urion deck's going to be a rough matchup. I think I'm going to top Metamorphose, cast another Opt here. We're looking for Izzet Phoenix. I think we top Thought Scour here. The problem is this is a hand that could very easily whiff on Phoenix, but so it looks like we're against the Temur Ura Ozo deck. There's an Izzet Phoenix. Problem is our opponents were representing metallic retribution here. Okay, maybe they're not. Blue-red. Let's scour ourselves. There's an Ox, which is a decent one. It's not the fastest clock, but at least it's a clock, right? Targets me, which may or may not do them a lot of good, because we're probably going to fetch away at the end of the turn anyway. Yeah, I don't really think you want Simian Spirit Guide. This deck wasn't a... Ironically, this deck wasn't a combo deck. Izzet Charm's an interesting one. Don't think I particularly care about this trade, right? Go ahead and bolt Emery here. Hold up Izzet Charm. Like, if I had another land, obviously I'd just jam Crackling Drake here. Well, there was a brief version of Hollow One that that was using Storm something or other and Eldrazi conscript. Guessing here comes Urza Claws. I'm just supposed to jam Crackling Drake here. Here comes Metallic Rebuke. Here comes Metallic Rebuke. Yep. Oop. Like, one of the ridiculous things about this particular archetype is just the fact that they get to hold up counterspell magic once they they resolve this card right here. Now they get to bring back Uro. I suppose we still have a Hail Mary of sorts, but For 0? Sure. That means they can hold up Cryptic Command. So our choices of fetching basic island while it was made to preserve life total makes like the Ox of Agnes Desperation Lunge bad. So guess I Izzet Charm, hope to get a little bit lucky. Alright, move on to the sideboard here. So Mystical Dispute's fine in this matchup. Force of Negation's fine. But a lot of their big things are creatures. We probably want Aria of Flame. Blood Moon. They tend to fish a lot of basics, so Blood Moon's not great. Ashiok in some numbers could be fine. Yeah, I don't think it's great either, but like, what are your alternative win cons if you're trying to make this deck work? You have Aria of Flame, Pyromancer's Ascension, and really bad Planeswalkers. You've got like Narset, Saheeli, and yeah. So it's fine as a tertiary threat. I don't think it's going to shine in this matchup by any means. That's what we're here to test, right? Like, we can make all the subjectures we want, but I think Lava Dart can go out. Doesn't actually kill anything in this matchup. Lightning Axe still has some spots. I think this might be a Thing in the Ice out matchup, just because it's not particularly good. Bouncing all their value creatures is just kind of terrible. And then you have like an Izzet Charm. I considered it, but what are you actively surgicaling in the current meta? Like, Surgical is always a reasonable card, but what are you trying to surgical? So like I said, there's a lot of choices you can make with this deck, but what's the right choice? Really want to see a land off of this opt, which is a little rough. Ox is not land. Land, please. Lightning Bolt. So I could haggle. I'm just supposed to haggle, right? Try to hit a land drop. What on earth are they going to hit us with here? Dispel. Okay. Metamorphose. Yeah, we're just going to pass here. Hold up, Izzet Charm. Oh, it's certainly very powerful. No dark rituals. Cryptic command. Yep. So close. Yep. They're going to cryptic command. Oh, no cryptic command back on top. Interesting. Oh, that was Prismatic Vista. I can't get Mystical Sanctuary. Okay, that can get back cryptic command. Sure. Don't Google Baleful Strix. Interesting. Opponent's gotta have a land, right? Yep. You have to Cryptic Command here. Like, are you considering bouncing one of your Mystic Sanctuaries? I guess Engineered Explosives for 4 gets us here? No, I just think they're new to playing against Izzet Phoenix. Because this isn't exactly a deck that's been around since Eurosa has been around. Got to admit, though, hitting three Phoenixes in our top 15 cards was very, very good for us. Not gonna lie, that exchange basically put us out of resources. And if they try the Cryptic Command trick again, we have Izzet Charm to blow them out next turn. Reanimator hasn't been good in a while in Modern. I think the last good graveyard decks all kind of died with... they're super lucky most of the time. Well, this deck has to be lucky to be good right now. Bring back Uro, hope to get lucky. They have Damnation? Luris. Okay. So they're playing Urion and Luris? Interesting. So our opponent did not seem to be aggressively fetching basics there, which makes me wonder if I'm supposed to go after Blood Moon. See, we want to bring in Blood Moons, and the other Izzet Charm on the draw. Go down 1 or 2 copies of Bolt, and then... Well, against snow decks, generally, Blood Moon hasn't been very good, but our opponent didn't really show... a lot of respect for it there either. Is it just risk cutting all the bolts? That doesn't seem right. Try it like that. Ashiok's a value card against their Uro plan, pretty much. And now that they apparently have, this hand could be anything. It's one of the dangers of the Phoenix decks is you literally don't know what this hand could be. This hand could be like 3 Phoenixes on turn 2 again. Oh, now they have the basic island this time. There's the Merchant of the Veil. Well, I still have 2 bolts and 2 lava lightning axes in play, plus 2 copies or 4 copies of Izzet Charm. So all right, well, I mean, do I risk going 4 into 2 open mana? Point with the Dispels. I just find that extremely bizarre out of a value-based combo or value-based deck. Like, their patience with it's been insane, but yeah, Izzet Charm at the end of their turn might have. Woo! It's not actually that good here, is it? I think we just hold up all our mana this turn. That's an interesting one. I'm just curious. What am I supposed to jam here? I guess I just grab Basic Island and jam Blood Moon here. Because, like, I could jam Aria. But they've got to have a counterspell here, right? So, I think that's just Blood Moon. Now, if they want to counter it, they have to get an island, most likely. Yep. Sure. Drake's not good in this situation. Force of Negation's okay, but not really what we were looking for. Just cast Arya. Okay, Bottle doesn't really do much for you. Because you if I remember the ability correctly, turn target permanent to its owner's hand. How about if I do that? I think we gotta fight over this. Not in grape shape here, that's for sure. Really wanted to bring back those Phoenixes. Well, I don't know if they were playing around Blood Moon so much as their deck is just naturally full of a bunch of basics anyway. Okay, do you have a way to get it back this turn? Seriously, had another cryptic command anyway. Okay. I think we're just on the Phoenix plan now. Did I board in Aria Flame against a Cryptic Command deck? Yes. As opposed to leaving in Thing in the Ice against the Ice Fang, Coatl, Fatal Push, Engineered Explosives Uro deck? And yes, I boarded in Blood Moon because last game our opponent showed us they weren't respecting it. They had a land base that included Breeding Pool, the Triome, one basic, and one land. Or one other dual land. One Mystic Sanctuary. Oh, the Phoenix plan is the primary plan. Opponent, if they have a counter, is going to use it here. But the problem with the Phoenix plan is all they have to have is one Nihil Spell Bomb or something along that nature, and the Phoenix plan goes poof. Yeah. Kind of hard to fight through 3 Cryptic Commands in the top 18 cards of their 80 card deck. I mean, you can go for speed all you want, but with Izzet Phoenix, the combo just simply isn't fast enough. Especially when they disrupted our fast draws with Dispel. Well, the critical turn was actually when they dispelled our Haggle on turn 2, which kept us from putting an Archetype Phoenix into play. So, game's over. It doesn't matter what we draw here. Because they have Cryptic Command backup in addition to whatever else they have going on. But, no, the critical thing was when they had Dispel for our Haggle on turn 2. Which kept us from getting an early Phoenix and playing pressure in our life total. Because that's how we won game number 2. So our opponent brought in Dispel. So, you know, if your opponent wants to beat you badly enough, they're going to beat you with in this format. I agree, the a fast Phoenix plan is the best, but our opponent had Dispel both game 2 and game 3. And we still got them pretty good game 2, but it required us to fight Force of Negation on their something to resolve our discard outlet. Because when you're playing against a deck with that much value and that many counter spells, it's just really hard to win. Period. If you're not a deck killing them on turn through maybe... Even Burn doesn't have a great matchup against that deck. Sand's definitely a keep. We're up against the Luris deck. We're on the draw, which is unfortunate, but... Yeah, I agree. The problem is like, what are the odds that they have a 1-mana counter spell on turn 2? Because they showed us Swamp Island And I guess they could potentially have Mana Leak. Like, I'm not really sure like what we're supposed to be playing around there. This is probably a turn 3 Arclight Phoenix hand. Against likely either Burn or Jund. Okay, so probably Jund. Well, no, but they do need to be in the graveyard. And they waited to counter our third spell, which was the Discard Outlet. They let Manamorphose resolve. They let whatchamacallit resolve. So I could Thought Scour here, because I think the way this hand's gonna have to go is we're gonna have to go turn 2 Izzet Charm, turn 3 1 mana spells. So if I unload anything before then, I'm risking not drawing enough things. But I think there's enough 1 mana spells and Manamorphoses in our deck that I'm willing to risk it. Yeah, Manamorphose is pretty good here. So I think I'm going to go Manamorphose, Thought Scour, Haggle this turn to get a Phoenix into play to start racing them. You cannot. You can only do it on your main phase. Because the way Arclight, beginning of combat on your turn if you've cast 3 or more spells. So draw another land, which is not ideal. Ox isn't terrible here. Cast Haggle. Yes. Arclight Phoenix. Trigger, get back Phoenix. I think we start with Arclight attack on our turn. I would love for our opponent to hit it with an Assassin's Trophy. Looks like we're likely to get hit by a Kolaghan's Command. Which fortunately, when we have this many lands in our deck or in our hand, I'm more than happy to. Oh, they're just gonna Fatal Push it, sure. No reason to take any actions here past turn. Could cast this, but it's just likely to die. Just be a waste of our mana. Don't want Basic Mountain. Really tired of bottoming stuff and then immediately drawing the same card. So draw an Arclight Phoenix. Okay. So because of the way we've done this, There's a couple different lines I can take. I can try to play Izzet Charm, hope to rip a couple of spells. I can just play Crackling Drake, force them to have an answer to that, and set up for next turn. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think one Izzet Phoenix is going to necessarily get there, so... Alright, so if we rip some decent spells here, we could be in some good shape. Has Assassin's Trophy. Back. Here comes the risk at Bobble. Sure. Opponent's missing a point of damage here. Okay, they decided not to. So I'm basically dead next turn, almost no matter what I do here. So I'm going to start by casting this one. We find Bolt and Thing in the Ice. So if I Ox, Bolt in response, start by just casting Bolt. I need to find a 1-mana blue spell off of Ox. Seems a bit far-fetched, but it is our best opportunity. Draw a 1-mana spell, but it's Lava Dart. Alright, somehow hope this Ox can keep us alive. Okay, we're likely dead here. I mean, we're dead to K Command and Bolt, so... Otherwise, I think they're dead next turn. No, we're just dead on board, never mind. So, Jund. Ether Gusts are okay against Tarmogoyfs. Blood Moon could potentially get them, because they don't tend to have a lot of basics in these Luris variants. Probably want the Aria of Flames. Thing in the Ice, once again, not a good matchup for that. Any matchup where Thing in the Ice just dies, I generally board it out. Yeah, it's good, but they still have, they still have answers, you know? Because, like, boarding in a pile of 3 drops is, okay, but not great against them. Probably board out a couple copies of Bolt. Bolt doesn't generally kill a lot in the matchup. It can obviously possibly kill Dark Confidant. It can kill... Is it Bolt or Lava Dart? I feel like I leave in Lava Dart just because it's better at chaining Phoenixes. I'm glad you guys are so enthusiastic about recommending cards for this deck, but I have to even see if the base strategy is even worth exploring anymore. No, Force isn't really worth it in this matchup. They have too many removal spells to try to protect your threats terribly much. This could be an Arclight hand if we find a... fast outlet, but the problem becomes, like... Force of Will, duh. So I think I want both these cards, right? We have the Aria Flame potentially plan. Which, okay, that puts the Phoenix plan out of commission there. So on to the Aria Flame plan we are, and hope they don't have Assassin's Trophy. And creatures go sideways. Turn sideways motion. You can, if they don't main phase, Dampening Sphere. Okay. A Storm player or a Tron player obviously hurt you somewhere, and I am sorry for that. Now do you have green mana plus Assassin's Trophy? I guess we'll find out. Blood Moon would just be a redonkulous draw here. Sure. We'll reconsider Force of Negation in the post-board games, or in Game 3 if we get that far. Pass turn. Maybe. Somebody definitely came packing the Nihil spell bomb heat. I think I just pass turn here. Hold up Ether Gust and Thought Scour. Oh, that's nasty. We could Ether Gust their Assassin's Trophy, put it back on top, and then mill it away. That'd be funny as heck if that came up. I'm just gonna hold up my mana, friend. It's pretty clear you have an Assassin's Trophy. See where they put it. We had 2 Assassin's Trophies in a row. Even if we don't win this game, that was frickin' hilarious. Maelstrom Pulse, sure. Don't think there's anything we can counter for 3 mana that we particularly care about here. Or 2 mana, I mean. Sure. I think we're in some trouble now. Thanks for the donation, Space Predator. Yeah, I'm alive. I don't think I'm going to be live for long in this game, but we're alive. Yep, OP has definitely turned the corner. They had to have that third answer to the aria, unfortunately. So what would our best draw even be here? I honestly don't know. That's rough. You might have to turn on notifications. Like, there's a notification thing on the subscribe thing itself that, I think there's a good chance we're still dead here, but if we're going to hold back here for now. Yeah, that's the best draw, and I'm still not sure it's good enough here. Because both of our lightning axes have been milled, so I don't even have a remote hope of killing this Tarmogoyf. My only answer left in the deck, I think, permanent answer is... If they have a way to push this through, we're just pretty much dead. Or I guess if they have Bolt, we're dead anyway. And they have access to the top card of their library because of Nihil Spellbomb here. So, left 3 cards on top. That's terrifying. Alright, I mean... I hear that stupid stink bug again. 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, we can't take the time to cast the aria, so... Hmm. I think since their Nihil Spellbomb plan is off, that I'm going to keep Arclight on top on the off chance that we're somehow not dead now. Hmm. We're still obviously in a lot of trouble here. Hmm. What am I even trying to set up right now? I still know where the darn stink bug is now. I know. Sub theme of the stream. Where's the stink bug? Why didn't they eat anything at the end of turn? I'm curious. Now they have the tough decision of, do they trade here and bring back Kroxa? Or do they tap down on green? Never mind, they get to do both. I don't know that we have an out to this. Well, they've already gotten blown out by Izzet Phoenix. Or, Izzet Charm once. What am I pitching here? Arya? Or Ox. I guess we're pitching Ox. No, there's not enough cards in graveyard, is there? So I guess it's just Aria. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we got a bot on that. So 2 of our arc lights are already gone. So Bolt takes 3 mana. I think we're just going to be 2 damage short. This damping sphere is actually going to get us here. If that damp sphere in play, it wasn't in play. We can't do both. There's not enough. We don't have enough mana. Because I have to pay 4 mana for this lava dart. So can put them to 2, but with 2 green mana open, we're just dead. I mean, like, I can block and block, but then they just chomp on my arc lights, and then we basically have no outs. So we're going to go ahead and call it there. So close. Yeah, if they didn't have that damping sphere, they were actually just dead there. I could discard Ox with Haggle. I'd have to go back and look at the lines. I'm not sure that that would have made a difference. Sand's fine. This could easily be an Arclight Phoenix Sand. Oh. Okay. Much more manageable. I normally see Waterlogged Grove, and I'm going, oh, great. Neobrand with no counterspell up on turn 1. We just pass here. It's certainly probably one of our better matches. Interesting. Pushed. Too much. Opponent with the triple threat hand. Well, let's hope they don't have mutagenic growth. Wow. How disappointing. Shaking my head. Sorry. The classic zoo infect list. And they... they're bitching about things, and then they still have Inkmoth Nexus. Could just be dead here. Maybe I was supposed to leave up, Izzet Charm and whatnot this turn? I mean, we gotta try to go for the thing here. Spell Pierce, sure. Just pass here. Yeah, a little bit rough. We were able to kill 3 threats and they have the 4th one, which considering they only have 12 threats in their deck. Metamorphose here. Well, guess we hope to get lucky here. That they don't have a one last kill spell in their hand. Or one last pump spell, I mean. Yeah. Dead to Blighted Agent. Huh. Definitely want the Gusts. Definitely want the Force of Negations. Definitely want the copies of a Braid. Blood Moon is tempting. Cards do we go down, though? Is it just board out the Merchants and the Oxes? Like, we're definitely the control deck in this matchup. I think this is a hand we keep. Have a couple pieces of interaction. We have a threat eventually. It's possible we're even supposed to bring in Blood Moon just to attack their Inkmaw Nexus, and their mana is not the most stable. Just want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. It's been awesome to have everybody up in here trying to play this somewhat possibly dead archetype. I mean, it's definitely had some interesting games. Going to go ahead and abrade this. It's going to main phase this. All we have, unfortunately, keeping us alive right now is a Force of Negation. And the fact that our opponent's going to be a little bit tight on mana. I know I can't kill from this turn, but them getting in 6 damage is dangerous enough that, especially given their severe lack of green mana. Do I want Metamorphose? See, like a Blood Moon here would be amazing on this board. Well, Metamorphose is just a free card, period, so... Yep, that's an annoying one. We know we want to draw a bold here. Yeah, it does seem that way, doesn't it? They got it, they got it. I'm not going to waste my resources right now. I'm just going to kill Spellskite. Wah, wah, wah. Alright, gives us a prayer at least. That's the reason why I didn't F6 through the turn, but... Well, he may not have the kill rolled up. And, like, they have no reason to go faster, so why would they? Like, I'm not presenting a clock. So they can just take their time and dink and dunk and dink and dunk. Yeah, alas, Faithless Looting is resting his sleep. Presume they only make this move if they have something else, right? Taking 3 here, 3 next turn. So what is in their hand? Just die already. Dismember? Yep. Okay. I think... No Finale of Promise. Finale of Promise is hard to work into the deck with Ox and Crackling Drake. It's possible, like... E-Tron exterior, please, next. So... Long story short, the core of the deck, obviously, surprisingly, is less consistent without Faithless Looting to enable the more busted arc-like draws. It just... Like, we lost to Jund. We lost to Yurion Urza. So literally the request I got was to play a deck with 2 Crackling Drake and 2 Ox of Aganos from the list we played last time, which was like, how many months ago? 3 or 4 months ago. Removing the Aria Flames and Finale of Promises. That's pretty much what I did card for card, updating the sideboard some. Crackling Drake was fine. It's not fantastic. Ox was fine. The problem is, like, as I explained when I was doing the deck tech, Faithless Looting was what killed the deck, but the deck was already on the way down from the way the meta had adapted. I really want this deck to be good, but I don't think it is. Like, we could try next time, like, I could try another time, like, cutting the 2 Crackling Drakes, putting Finale of Promise back into the deck. I could, like, make some tweaks, but in the end, I don't think the core strategy of Arclight Phoenix without Faithless Looting is that good. The busted Phoenix draws are a lot more inconsistent, and Thing in the Ice hasn't been well positioned in the meta for some time. It's not good against the Yurion decks. It's decent to good against Burn and Prowess, but they even have ways to fight back against it. And we just got dumpstered by what was supposed to be one of our good matchups in Infect. So, now granted, they had good draws. I'm not disputing that. And I lost to Infect while playing Jund. Yeah, it's certainly possible you need to go with 4 Haggle. Like, cut the 2 Drakes, go 4 Haggle. But, I don't know. Haggle is such a bad card. Like, Merchant of the Veil on the front, on the creature ends, not a modern playable card. And Haggle is only good when you have Arclight Phoenix. So like I said, you're trying to put Band-Aids on a sinking ship, and I just don't. But that's just it, is, okay. So there is a deck. Let me see if I can pull it up. The deck you are suggesting is Arclight Phoenix. So there was a deck back in April that was an Arclight Phoenix core around Pyromancer's Ascension with Baral. 4 copies of Pyromancer's Ascension, basically trying to bolt people out with Arclight Phoenixes. This is an all-in combo version of Arclight Phoenix, and it's basically a pseudo-storm deck with some Aria Flames on the sideboard. This is basically a hybridization of Arclight Phoenix and such. This is the only other potential version that Arclight Phoenix is a playable card. And it's possible you're supposed to go to this style of a deck. You have Remands, Force of Negations, Chart of Course could easily be Izzet Charm. But like this is the issue with Arclight Phoenix. Like, last time when I worked on it, it felt like we were getting close sometimes, but the tools that are there for the deck are so bad that you're straining to be adequate. As we were mentioning before, the deck's not good at anything. It's not good to great. Doesn't have the busted Izzet Phoenix draws. It's not even as good a Thing in the Ice deck anymore. Thing in the Ice, which is one of the big things for the deck, isn't good. So I could see a meta where the deck is functional, but it's not going to be tier 1 again. It just isn't. I'm certainly willing to work on some tweaks here and there. Cut Oxes for Haggles. Work in Finale Promises. Like, we can massage things like that. But the core of the deck isn't good in Modern. I really don't have a whole lot else to say right now. And we'll certainly try to revisit it. Like, maybe we'll try to work on it over the next couple weeks here and there. But the deck isn't good. And I tried to make this deck work after the banning of looting. And I got it to the point where it was seemingly playable. And then the meta just went bonkers with even more power creep. Like, I'm not even sure it has to be good. That is a point I can absolutely agree with, Steve. I think the Crackling Drakes need to come out. I think the Oxes are fine as a 2-of. And I think you either need Aria of Flame or Pyromancer's Ascension or some other tertiary threat or card advantage engine that isn't Crackling Drake. I think Crackling Drake, this is definitely the card that needs to go. But I still don't think the deck's going to be great. The power creep of the last year is insane. There is no companion this deck can play and be reasonable. I mean, we could play, what? Gigantha? And beyond that, I don't think there's currently a companion that goes with it. Yeah, and I've played it with Force of Negation in the main deck before. The problem with Finale is getting the right balance of instants and sorceries gets a little tricky. It might. But they've been trying that in Standard and hasn't even been working. I don't know. I tell you guys what. You guys work on lists that you guys think might be good or might be worth approaching, and I'll take a look at them and see if I can work them into in the streaming schedule. So leave it in the comments. Leave it probably in the comments is best. But I unfortunately need to be ending the stream because I need to be up for work in the morning. But if you guys think there are tweaks that can be made that can improve the list, let me know. That's pretty much where I'm going to leave it tonight. So, thanks everybody for hanging out tonight. So, well, Blue-Red Delver is a different deck, though. Like, I've worked on Grixis Delver, and Grixis Delver is amazing. Grixis Shadow with Sprite Dragon is amazing. Those are different decks. Anywho. anyone watching this later, anybody in chat now, if you have a build of Izzet Phoenix or based off of this model with some tweaks, obviously we mentioned some different cards we can try. Sprite Dragon, we can try Young Pyromancer, Seasoned Pyromancer, Finale of Promise. You know, you can even try a Teamer Splash for like Veil of Summer and Traverse. That was in some of the original Arclight Phoenix builds back in the day. Yeah, that's another thing, War Dog, is you can play Protect the Queen, but your threats aren't that good. So, Sprite Dragon could change that, potentially. I don't know. Anywho, I'm going to sign off here. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out tonight. It was an amazing, if frustrating, stream. So, hey, I'm more than willing to continue to work on the deck if there's interest, but we don't have a very good core here to work with right now. So, anywho, hope you guys catch you later on tomorrow's night's stream. I'm not quite sure what deck I'm streaming. I'm too tired to try to think about it right now. So, I'll get back to you guys sometime tomorrow afternoon with what I'm considering streaming. So, thanks everybody for hanging out. This has been John from MTG Nexus. Peace. Everybody have a good night.